Thank you, Helen. It's always fun to join and have Helen talk me up before I get started. It always feels like you're getting pumped up before you get on stage. So I appreciate it. I am really excited today. We're going to talk.
Say the ass kicker.
Oh yeah, you forgot to say I was the ass kicker. Valid. They'll learn it soon enough. They'll learn it.
They will.
Today, we are going to talk about converting leads into clients and especially mining those leads that are currently existing already in your world that we are sometimes doing a poor job of actually converting. So I'm going to share my screen and that's going to go exceedingly well when I do so. And we're going to just talk about this today. Before we get started, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity. So you may or may not know, I also host the podcast, She Needs Profit. And I am looking to build out my bank of speakers on the podcast for the next year. So if you want to get on podcasts and expand your kind of reach into the market, I would love to have a conversation with you. So pop onto this QR code and just fill out the form. It's a couple of very brief questions, kind of how do I get a hold of you? And I would love to chat with you being part of the She Needs Profit podcast, if that's a good fit for your business and what you like to talk about. And as business owners, a lot of what I do is storytelling about business owners. So regardless of kind of what your business looks like, it's probably a good fit if you want to chat about what you do and how you got here. But okay, let's see. There we go. Just an introduction to those of you that haven't met me before. I have now been on Sales Mastery. I think we were saying this is the 4th time, but I'm a profit coach. I work with primarily service-based business owners to make more money in their business. Too often we are operating from like a hobby jobby kind of situation where we're not paying ourselves and we're certainly not thriving with our businesses. So my goal is to get business owners from that place of, whoops, I created for myself a job, right through to I am profitable, I am thriving, I am working the hours I want to work, I am making the kind of money that I want to make that allows for whatever you want in your life above and beyond just a paycheck. So that is my goal. I have now over 15 years of experience in sales, public relations, and finance, along with, it's 5+ years of coaching clients in this manner. So I have seen a lot of different businesses over the years. I've coached a lot of clients, and I have a lot of experience with how to get you from where you are currently, if it is a struggle for visibility, for sales closing, for just profitability and understanding the numbers in your business. That's what I do for people. So if that feels like something that you're like, ooh, I need to pay attention to that, then you have my contact information, that Google Sheet. You can reach out to me and I'm always open to have a conversation. But today we are going to speak to why we want to be focused on leads going to sales. Okay. All of us have so many potential clients already within the sphere of what we're doing with our operations. So a really good example is this networking group. Every single one of us are showing up for Sales Mastery or showing up for our monthly calls, our monthly meetings in person, and we are making connections with people and we are talking with people and we are engaging them in some level of discussion about our business. And then what we do with that sometimes isn't as good as it could be. So we're going to talk about that today. But I really want to start by just giving you some pieces of information. There is a 400% increase in the lead response if you are very quickly touching that person. Now, not touching it inappropriately, but sending an email, right? Touching is the worst. It is the worst language when it's talking about prospects. So don't touch anybody, guys. But reaching out and engaging with the people that we're meeting very, very quickly has massive impact in our business, massive impact in the amount of sales that we can actually generate from all these people that we are taking the time to meet. The chance of making contact is like 11% on the first time. So you're going to send that email, you're going to send that text message. Chances of you getting a person and engaging and then they're immediately purchasing from you, it's not great. But by the time you've got to the 6th attempt, we are getting in touch with people. We are actually engaging with them. We are having a conversation. This, for so many of us, demonstrates the fact that we are willing to work for your business. So if you can all think about how many times have you been in a circumstance where somebody just keeps following up and they are obviously interested in pursuing you and putting the effort in and they're demonstrating their value? At what point do we start to be like, wow, they are really committed to this? That's intriguing to me. That demonstrates a willingness to put the time in for my business. Most of us start to kind of notice that and appreciate that even in our day-to-day lives. We also know that there's somewhat of a factor of persistence. Any of you that are on this call right now that have kids, you can definitely understand when I say to you, the persistence of like, but mom, can we, could we, should we? Let's go, mom, please, please, please. By the 12th time, if you haven't managed to shut it down with a full no, you're probably going to do whatever it is said kid wants you to do. And the reality is sales is very similar. That same level of persistence, although can be less whining, will get the job done over time. Okay. You need to demonstrate that you're willing to go above and beyond when it goes to closing that sale. And this looks different depending on the industry that you're in, the price point of what you're selling, the relationship that you have with that individual, whether it's a brand new introduction or somebody you've known for a while. But regardless, persistence in following up is going to make a difference. The quick win absolutely is creating habitual follow-up. So where we almost always fall down is the fact that we have great intentions, but we are busy. We have 1,000 other things to do in our business, and we don't have a system of follow-up that just is automatic, right? It doesn't become habitual, and so therefore we drop it, and we kind of like start, stop, start, stop. So we're going to talk about that today. Before we kind of move past this, though, I want to give the example of optics. So I don't know how many of you are at the stage in your eyesight where you are now at the point where you need readers, or maybe you need readers and you need glasses to see farther away. I am at the point where I need readers. And so I've been kind of looking around and ads have been catching my attention and the algorithm is feeding me glasses all the time. And Optics is the company that has pursued me the most. And we are talking text messages, emails. It's showing back up those what do I want to call them? I guess repurposed ads, right? So on all your social media, when you start to see those same ads, because you click on them, because you're reading their information, they have reached out to me 15 times in the last 10 days. I've been tracking it 15 times. Do you know what I purchased today? Optics, glasses. It was like, okay, fine. Yes, I need them. Every time I pick up a book, I can't see it very well. Pill bottles on the back. I finally just pulled the plug and did it, right? So this stuff works. It works for big companies. That's what they're doing to sell you the things that you see on ads. And it's the same thing for a smaller business like ours to be able to just be generating an automated system. And that's what we're going to talk about doing today. Before we move any farther, what I do want to say is I will absolutely get to the end of this and there will be time for questions. So if there's something that you want to ask me about specifically in relation to your business, I'm going to open the floor at the end and we'll have that conversation. If you do want to pop it in the chat as we go, I will scroll back through that when we get to that Q&A portion of the time. So don't think that this is just going to be me like, blah, 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 and then you are walking away with questions that you want me to answer. I am happy to do that. Okay. So here's the reason why we care. The bottom line, right? I want you to think about what number of sales conversations have you already had this year? We're 6 months in. How many conversations have you had with somebody that you would determine for them to be somewhat interested in purchasing from your business? What number of those people have you spoken to and not followed up with so far? So when you're thinking about this, I want you to like casually look over and see, is there a pile of business cards on your desk? Are there people that you're like, oh, immediately Fred came to mind and Susie, I was meant to call her back. And what does that look like for you? For all of us, there are the immediate jump to mind people that we have spoken to and not followed up for any number of reasons. Sometimes it's we're a little bit nervous to do it. Sometimes we're not used to doing it. Sometimes we don't know what to say and how to engage. Sometimes it's just, I don't have time to do this and I'm struggling with that piece. Now, the next piece I want you to think about is what is the annual value of your average client? So think about that for a second. What do your clients generate for you on average? And I want those three numbers to kind of be in the back of your head as we go through this. And we're going to circle back to this at the end to just re-solidify why I think this is so important. And really, it begs the question, how much money are you leaving on the table in your business by not having a system ready to go for this? Okay. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about, so there's of course the idea that we can generate new client leads, right? This networking call today will generate for you new people that you haven't met before that you can engage with. But I want you to actually go back and say, who's already in my sphere? Who already exists in my world that I have done a poor job of following up with? And here are just some ideas for data mining who those people are. And it's going to depend on what your business looks like. But for me, one of the things I will go back and do is take a look at the social media engagement and followers. Who's engaging in your comments regularly? Who's liking your posts? Who's maybe just always showing up if you're going live? Who are those people? Have you reached out? Those are buying signals. They are interested in what you're putting out there in the world. The same goes for email marketing engagement, right? So are they opening your emails? Most of you, if you have any sort of system you're using for email management, allows you to see who opens it, allows you to see who clicks the links. If you're not taking a look at that and then doubling down on those conversations with those people, you're missing out. These are people that are demonstrating for you buying signals, and you're perhaps not engaging in them. So going through and looking at that and creating a list is an easy way to create kind of a low-hanging fruit list from the people that you have right now. Past sales conversations. One of my biggest clients right now, her thing, finally, she admitted to me, is the fact that she doesn't do any follow-up. She does a sales consult, and if you close, great. And if you don't close, then see you later. It's on you to find me again. There are a lot of us that operate in that way. There are a lot of us that are like, well, you didn't say yes on the sales call. You didn't say yes when I was in front of you. So I assume it's a no, and underline assumption, and I just leave them to their own devices. Chances are it's not that they're saying no, it's that they're saying not right now, or they're saying there are questions you didn't address and there's more discussion to be had here. So even if you just took the top three and said, I'm going to look at who's engaged in my social media, I'm going to look at past sales conversations that I never bothered to follow up with, and I'm going to look at who's opening and engaging slightly on my emails, how many bodies does that create for you to follow up with as of right now? The vast majority of us, there are a lot of people that are just in our world. And especially if we take away any sort of feelings of shame or a little bit of like, it is not too late to re-engage that conversation, especially if we think, could you reach back out to and engage in a better way or more consistently in a way that might actually create sales? Of course, we have the following ones, right? Old business cards, we all have them. If you carry a purse, they're in the bottom of the purse with dust and maybe like a Mentos or something. If you don't carry a purse, they're in the pocket of all of those jackets you wear to the networking events, all of them, right? So if you haven't taken it to the dry cleaners, go look in those pockets. I guarantee that's where they are. That's where you pop them. Or they're on the shelf or the dresser where you come home, you get undressed, you pull the business cards out, you set them there on the counter, and away you go for the rest of the day. Networking connections. I guarantee as part of NIA, you have networking connections that are interested in your product and service that you haven't actually engaged with. Or you've done the thing where you're spending a little bit of time with them, you're getting to know them personally, which of course is the way we operate at NIA, but you've never actually engaged when they're saying, oh, that's very interesting. Yes, I'd like to know more about that. You haven't necessarily taken that plunge and take it from a sales conversation, right? So I want you to really sit down with a piece of paper and write out who are all those people. That's what we're going to spend some time with. And then past clients. So clients that would be ready to re-engage your services. Either you have a new offer, you have something else, your offer is something that they would take you up on again. This is number one place where it is easy to get an old client to come back if they were happy with you the first time. And so often, once they kind of fall off that roster of clients for whatever reason, we're not engaging them. We need to get them back in the loop and be able to have those conversations again. So now you've got a list, and it's a big list. Now I want you to focus on really creating something that is habitual. This is not a one and done. This isn't like I'm going to make 5 phone calls because Sam inspired me today, and then I'm going to let it drop. That's not going to help you long term. It's just going to need you to come back to sales mastery in a year when I do this again, and you'll be reminded and you'll be like, crap, now I'll do 5 more phone calls. Okay. Systematic approach so that every single time you are not letting any opportunity slip by because it is just showing back up for you, right? It is being done for you, or it's very clear what your next step is with people. The way that I recommend you do this is when we've come up with this list of all these people, right, that are in our sphere and that exist already, I want you to think about who is your number 1, number 2, number 3 priority. You're not going to be able to do all of this all at once. So take your hottest leads, the ones that you're like, I absolutely think there's a need here, start there. So kind of do a 1, 2, 3 or an ABC, however you want to categorize them, and take it one step at a time. Utilize a combination of email, phone calls, personal outreach, all the different ways you have to engage a potential client. What we don't want to do is just say, all I do is send emails. Emails are very easy to ignore. They get sucked into a list of 1,000 emails. If you're not great at subject lines on emails, or if God forbid you're using the term just following up, don't say that, right? Nobody cares. You just go to the bottom of the pile. So utilizing a different combination, be able to text them, be able to DM them on social media, make connections in different places, and engage that follow-up in kind of a disjointed way so that you do actually reach them. Implementing a CRM system to track them, to set reminders, to make your processes really straightforward is very helpful. If you don't have a CRM right now, because almost all CRMs that exist out in the world have some levels of reminders, et cetera, that you can do. If you're not using a CRM, you can do this as easily as set reminders in your phone, set reminders on your Google Calendar. You can also just set a spreadsheet where it like takes that spreadsheet and you're following up with these 10 and it's A, B, C, D column of send a phone call, send a text, send an email, whatever that looks like. And you can track it that way. So you don't necessarily have to go out, learn a whole CR, that can become a big project and it misses the point of, no, we want to get in touch with these people sooner rather than later. Okay. I'm just going to scroll through and see. Okay. Okay. And I will get to those questions and those comments in the chat. I was just checking to make sure there was nothing urgent, but I will get to those by the end. So here are some of the things. This is 12 things that you can be doing to stay in touch with people or engage with people. welcome calls, just regular phone calls, just a kind of, I'm going to call it the shoot the shit call, right? You're just calling. You're actually not calling to say, hey, Bob, I thought you'd be interested in blah, blah, blah. You're actually just like, hey, Bob, how's your summer going? I know that you guys normally go to the lake. Have you managed to get up there very often? You are not trying to do anything other than re-engage that contact and be top of mind for them. We're not trying to make a sale on every single touch point. We are just trying to stay engaged with these potential clients, okay? So that's important to know, right? You don't want somebody who, hey, can I help you? Hey, can I sell you? Hey, can I sell you? Hey, can I sell you? On every message, that gets very aggressive and people are just going to get turned off and block you in whatever way that they can. Instant thank you emails. So you go to a networking event, you have it automated, you get the Google Sheet from Danilo, he sends it over, and you send an auto message that says, hey, it was so great that you were also on the NIA call yesterday, which allows for you not to necessarily have individually spoken with these people. It would be so great to get a one-on-one. I'm looking at engaging with more of my fellow networkers. Very general, very broad, but you can do that and people are going to engage with that. You're also able to do that when you go to a conference. I know those are some of the places where you get a ton of business cards, a ton of connections. Have it be automated that as soon as they get put into your CRM, it sends them a message. Hey, so great to meet you at blah, blah, blah conference. I am excited to keep in touch. Very, very easy, but you're top of mind. And you're going to be in that 3% of people who bother to make that effort, okay? Follow-up texts. Hey, I sent out this offer via email, wasn't sure if you'd seen it. Here's the link right here. Let me know if you have any questions. There we go. Send a text message. Following up to an email, you're not going to give them all the detail in the text, but they now know if it's something that they're interested in or if they're curious, they'll go back to their email box and see what you sent earlier this week. The other thing is informative emails. You don't always have to be selling something. In fact, I would argue it is really helpful to be sending potential clients things that show and demonstrate your leadership and your knowledge. So, hey, I saw this. We were speaking about this the other day. I saw this article and it really made me think of you and what the problem was that we were chatting about. Here you go. I listened to this podcast and I thought it would be really helpful for the fact that you're struggling with this thing right now. That can be personally something you know about them, or it can be professionally. But it shows that, again, you're going above and beyond, and you're also full of knowledge that people are looking for, okay? Scheduling a call. We talk about this all the time at NIA, right? Like, let's book a one-to-one. Actually schedule a call where we're going to engage in that circumstance. And that one-to-one, even going beyond just let's schedule a one-to-one, let's schedule a one-to-one where I can learn about your business so I can be an ambassador for you out in the world. I want you to talk me through what it would be like to be your client. You're going to do this to somebody, right? And they are going to reciprocate that opportunity to you. The same with, hey, Fred, I would love to schedule a call to talk about how I can help you with XYZ, the thing that you've been talking about, right? If they've engaged, I see that you're reading my emails. I see that you're on my social media. I can see that this would be of interest. Would you like to schedule a call with me? We can do that kind of a direct ask as well. Handwritten notes can go a long way. We're going to talk about the health of your CRM or your contacts, making sure that you have email address, phone number, mailing address, allows you to touch people on these different points, right? Allows you to get in contact with them in multiple different ways. Supportive SMS. So just, hey, how's it going? How are you faring after the hurricane? Every single one of us could be sending those text messages this week. Do you need anything? And I'm sure if you look back locally, if you guys are in Texas, locally, most of us will have gotten those text messages. Take a look. What business owners are they? Bet you it's the realtors. They're doing it, right? I know I've gotten messages from my realtors, but who else is doing it? Who's making that part of the, hey, I can help. What do you need? Addressing concerns emails are kind of self-explanatory. Special delivery, you can drop off something or mail something that would be engaging for a potential client. This isn't something you're going to do if your price point is $50, right? But if you're selling large ticket items of some kind, it can make sense sometimes to kind of do a reminder in that way. Exclusive offer emails. So then getting into emails that are beyond just informational, but now, hey, I have this new product. I have this new service. I have this information that has changed. How can I service you? Is this something you'd like to talk about? Friendly check-in call we talked about. And then just in general, staying connected, making a point to like and follow their stuff on social media, following them on social media in general. All of those places are ways that we can be following up. And that's not an exhaustive list. That's just a little bit of what you can be doing. Okay. Now, I am going to send, so this document, now everybody's in my way here, so I've got to shut you all. I am going to send this document to you guys so you can see, so you don't have to rapidly copy it all down or trying to screen share it. But this is some of the things that you can be doing. And this actually came off of ChatGPT. So if you're struggling for ways for you to come up with how do I follow up with people, put into ChatGPT for your personal business, whatever that is, what are 20 minutes worth of activities I can do to potentially garner more leads or garner leads to clients over the course of a month. If we actually followed this, right? If each one of us said, week 1, we're going to send 5 to 10 potential client calls, then we're going to do text messages to those same clients. Then we're going to send an email highlighting a special offer. Then we're going to engage in their social media. Then we're going to follow up with 5 or 10 potential clients who didn't respond initially. We're going to leave voicemails, and then we're going to drop by 3 to 5 clients. That wouldn't take a huge portion of our week, especially if it became like just something that we do. But how much business do you think, if you do this consistently, will you create? Right? If you're going to meet 5 new people every single week through networking, and you put that much effort into those 5 new people every week over the course of the year, how much of an impact would that have on your business and your sales? And just what people think about you from a customer service standpoint, right? So I will send this. So I'll make sure that Danilo gets a copy of this so that he can send this all out to everybody. And again, it was just something where I put it together quick for you to see all the different ways that we can do this, right? And of course, always, I'm going to emphasize on week 4 here, these last 3 sections. Review what you're doing and the outcomes. Is it working? Is it having an impact? Did I like doing it? Did I avoid doing it like the plague? If you avoid doing it like the plague, then you need to have a conversation about A, is it something I'm willing to do? Is there an alternative that I would be more willing to do it? Can I delegate it? Or do I need to get some coaching and help around why am I hesitating to do it, right? Next steps, follow up with any remaining leads. We just continue this cycle. Every 4 weeks, we're doing the same sort of things. And then, of course, plan for the next steps. So what other engagement are we doing moving forward from there? It seems like a lot, but we can do this in 20 minutes. And a huge portion of this can be automated if you have the systems in place or if you want to implement the systems, depending on where you're at, okay? Okay. Some of the tools that I have kind of touched on, but we're going to talk about that will help you do this and help you make it habitual and not have it be that Sam just gave you 400 hours more of work to do in a month, because that's not fun, is email and text automation. There are many different services, many different ways that you can be doing this, whether it's emails that are going out every single week, emails that are going out following events, all of that sort of thing where you are just tagging them in a CRM. So we tag them to say NIA sales mastery call, and they get the follow-up that says, hey, it was so great to see you and I'm glad you made it today, blah, 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 blah. Okay. That's not you typing out an email to every single person that is on here. That would take you a long time. But there are ways and tools to do that that are worth looking into if it's not something you're using right now. Education and authority building. So in addition to this, all of these pieces of speaking, social media, newsletters and emails, collaborations with other businesses. These are ways that you're already probably out there showing authority. Are you putting them into your other methodologies? So what I mean by that is, are you talking about how a client got success with you, and are you sharing that when you speak in front of people at NIA or on social media? Are you putting that in newsletters? Are you putting it in emails? Are you creating an environment where this content is available for you to just plunk into your email newsletter and have that sent out automatically? How are you showing up in a way that just demonstrates you are great at what you do, you know what you're doing, you get great results for your clients, and that is being put into all the pieces of your follow-up? Slide dial automations. There are systems in place that you can have it be so that it's not ringing through to a person, but it is just slide dialing them and allowing you to leave a voicemail. You can do these automated, you can do them in bulk. This can be a very easy way for you to have a touch point with potential clients without having to sit there in your car at soccer practice and send out a personalized text to everybody. I want to just always caution that you want to make these come across as personable as possible. So we do not ever want to just rely on something like a slide dial. We want to absolutely take the time to engage people one-on-one with the stuff that we know about them, but it doesn't have to be every time. This can be a tool that can be used to kind of do it occasionally. Gifts and direct touches. These are take people out for lunch, take them out for coffee, stop by the office and bring them something, a little treat. Make sure that you're engaging them. If you know, I mean, my realtor does this. I rely on realtors a lot. They do this gifting a lot where they will just, hey, you've given me referrals in the past. Here's a little gift. And I will every once in a while get something on my front door. And it's often like a beach ball with a business card, or it's honey, or it's they're not big expensive things, but they are immediately top of mind. And if you know your clients or potential clients have children or have pets or have other things that they're interested in, particular sports or gardening or interests, you can cater to those specific interests. And that really demonstrates that you pay attention when I talk to you and you're engaging me in a way that's meaningful to me. Okay. All right, now I just need to move everybody's little bodies up to the top here again. Okay, so the CRM, no matter how you're using this, whether you're using a pen and paper, whether you're using a spreadsheet, or whether you're actually using a CRM, it is really important that you keep the health of that database up to date. Making sure that you have all the contact information within the system that you're using means you have the ability to do this. If right now all you have is like somebody's in your phone under Bob and you have no idea what his company is, you don't remember whether it was him that went on that cruise or maybe it was the other Bob, you don't remember. All of those things, the more updated you have, the more you can automate things and know that they're going to go out and look professional when they go out your system. Okay. Again, back to choose the one that best suits your specific needs and objectives. This has been a fire hose of things you can do. This is not a, you must do all these things or it won't work. Okay. So I don't want any of you to be sitting there thinking like, holy smokes, I'm never going to have the ability to do all of this. I want you to be instead thinking, that's a lot of ideas. I like those two, and I'm going to implement those two for right now. Right. I want you to give yourself grace on that. So here we go. We're going to circle back around to those questions. What number of sales conversations have you had this year? What number of people have you spoken to and not followed up with? And what is the annual value of your client, of your average client? Here's what it looks like. Say you've had 35 sales conversations this year, okay? The number of people that you spoke to and follow up with, 20 people fell through your net. You didn't catch them. And the annual value for your average client, we're just going to say is $5,000. That is $100,000 that you've left on the table because we haven't followed up. Now, would we have closed those 20? Probably not, right? But let's just say we would have. That's 100K. So I want you all to just take a minute and think about, what is the number for your business? And how much is it worth taking the time to build out some sort of structure that works for you, that would allow for this not to be left on the table, right? It's going to look different for everybody, but I want you to really think about this, because we do forget sometimes that we're like in that action of, I have to do client work, I have to do that stuff, I need to get moving forward in that direction. And yet we're leaving big bucks on the table by not just following up with the people who have expressed some level of interest in our business. Okay. All right. So that was literally the fire hose. Are you guys okay? You can take yourselves off mute if you want and like, let's engage. I'm going to stop sharing for the time being. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to go to this. This is again back to just the podcast. If you didn't get a chance when I started, if you would want to be part of being on my podcast, She Needs Profit, then grab that QR code real quick. And then otherwise, we're going to open it for discussion.
All right, so you can feel free to unmute yourself. And if we want to circle back on the chat, let's see what we got here.
I will, yeah.
Okay, to Katie, First Sales Mastery, will we get a copy of the slides? You could always circle back to the replay. We will have that up later in the week. That'll be available to you on the website, on YouTube, and on Vimeo. Okay. Somebody called Owner. My competitor has never been to an in-person meeting and has only used Google Ads and SEO. He started after me, doesn't provide as good of a service, does not go into dealerships with his clients like I do, and has five franchises under him because he has so many clients that he needs to shut off the ads. Okay. Interesting.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Okay, so Joyce is saying, instead of just following up, what words do you suggest? Okay, depends on the circumstance. So, Joyce, do you have a particular circumstance in mind you want me to kind of go through, or do you want me to make up a circumstance?
No, I agree that that's probably not the best. I was saying it for the audience, but
Okay.
I think that's one that people use all the time.
Mm-hmm. They do. I have some. There is somewhere in here. I have notes. Oh, I will find it. There's a lot of different ways, but we don't want to do, so with text messages, one of the ways to do it is just say, just bumping this up. So if you've sent a text message to a potential client, and they haven't responded, right? So you've asked them a question, you've kind of engaged in that way. Instead of saying just following up, just bumping it up and doing like a little arrow that kind of like a little emoji, that sort of thing. You can do the same with email. I will often do a follow-up. So if I've sent out a request for something, so somebody's asked me about coaching and I've responded, they've asked some questions via email, I've responded to those questions, and then it's like dead. You're like, what happened to that person? I will first send a message back via email that says something along the lines of, hey, I seem to have lost you. Are you there? Very lighthearted, very like gentle, right? Then I will send, hey, I know you were asking about blah, 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 blah. Are you still interested in this? Then third follow-up, and I kind of get to a third, and if I've got no response, I assume they've died. But third follow-up is, hey, I am assuming that this isn't the right time or the right fit for you. I would love to connect with you when it's a better fit. Almost always, I get a response right then. That's the email that gets the response. And the response is almost always, oh, I meant to follow up with you. Yes, I've been thinking about it. Oops, No, don't make the decision for me. Like putting it out there, like I assume it's a no, or it sounds like you're a no. No problem, we'll talk soon. Forces people to either be like, I'm gonna ignore you anyway. Okay, fine, then just take them off the list. Or, oops, I've been really rude and I've not responded and I'm not a no. I really am interested. I just was busy. Or, yeah, I am really busy, but I am a no and it's fine. And oftentimes people also respond back like, you're right. It's not the right time for me, but I will reach out when I'm ready. Okay, either way for you as a business owner, you can now put them in the appropriate column. The ghost person who apparently fell off the earth, the person who is busy but is interested. So you're gonna remember that, right? And you're going to realize it might take you a couple of touches before they re-engage you. And the person who, not right now. And then your immediate response back to that person is, hey, do you, how would I word it? Yeah, I totally understand. Is there a time frame you can see this being the right fit, or is it just not right now? Because sometimes they'll say, yeah, absolutely. Once the kids go back to school in the fall, I'll have the capacity to look at this. Then it's up to you to put a little note into your CRM that says, hey, reach out to Fred in the fall. Reach out to Fred second week in September and just, hey, how are the kids? Do they get back to school okay? Are you surviving? And then you can re-engage at that point. Does that answer that?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
We
Yeah,
got
no
one in
worries.
the chat from Maria here. She says facing challenges with transition from engaged reader / social media follower to a client. Maria, if you want to unmute and expand on that, feel free.
Sure. Thank you. So I do have a pretty good open rate. It tends to stay in the 30s and sometimes in the 40s for my general newsletter. And then if I have like one of my shorter lists, like the swimming community, and I have a swim only article that I send, then it gets into 50% and above. With an occasional answer like, thank you so much, or congratulations on something that was mentioned in the newsletter. Very 0 to nothing, book an appointment call, and 0 to 1% register for something. So I'm kind of wondering if they're opening it and reading it to it, you know, in a decent, healthy percentage, am I not putting out the right product for them to want to buy? Or where is it? Or it could be a number of challenges, you know, but it's like, and I've actually been like in the stands at an athletic event and someone says, oh, you're Maria. I loved your newsletter the other day. And they pull up my newsletter in front of me and you're 80 pounds overweight and looking tired and you're not talking to me, but you love my newsletter to the fact that you could find it in 10 seconds. So that's where I kind of get like, what is going on, you know?
Yeah.
Sounds like an
Okay.
offer problem. Sounds like
Yeah.
your offer is not compelling enough to get them to take action outside looking in.
Yeah, I would agree that it's almost certainly it's an offer and or it's a communicating about the offer, right? Like if your call to action isn't strong enough for them, like that next step motion beyond I open your email, I read your newsletter, I am engaged with the content enough that I remember who you are, right? That's a huge win. But I can't directly connect the stuff that I'm reading with the solution you offer and the reason that I'm the right person for that solution, right? Right. So it's probably a little bit of testing for you to go, okay, how am I, is it just you read the newsletter and the bottom, it says like book a call. That's not going to be compelling enough. That's not going to be, most people won't do that, right? They have to be very motivated to just click and book a call. In your newsletter, are you using testimonial type stories? So not necessarily like Bob says he loves your service and you're great at what you do, but Bob came to me, this was his circumstance, this is what he looked like, these were his challenges, this was his success, this was the timeline it happened in. Are you taking clients, potential clients, through the trajectory of where you are right now. I need you to identify yourself as this person. And I want you to see the potential that you could be this person if you work with me.
Kind of, because my target audience is actually the parent of the youth athlete.
Okay.
So when I get the parent, or when I get an entrepreneur, or when I get people like us in this call, those are the 30% that they're like, oh, Maria can help me with my mindset. I'm an emotional eater. I'm sabotaging myself. So they're like, that could apply to me. But I have literally gotten questions like, do you work with non-athletes? Do I have to be a teenager to work with you? And that's fine, because I decided years ago that I was going to show my niche and excel at my niche, right? So I'm okay with that. So if I do have that, it's usually once a month where I have like the athlete of the month, or the client of the month, the VIP client of the month, and I say what their trajectory was. But that's usually like the first day of the month with like a summary, you know, and kind of sharing what their challenge was and where they are now and how proud I am of them and that kind of thing. But it's usually a youth athlete with an occasional Exxon executive whose energy levels are through the roof now. That'll be like the exception, but once in a while.
Okay, so you do work with those people that aren't the youth athlete then. Okay. So.
But that's not what my communication centers around. It centers around the avatar is like us, but when we have teenage athletes.
Okay.
Can I spitball an idea?
Yeah, do it.
All right, so I'm a web guy, so like I'm always building forms and assessments and things like that. And I do find that assessments they can be a really compelling way to engage somebody. All right, and you could actually put them in a place where you could say, hey, like this would be a really good avenue for you at the end of this little path that you put them down. And it, you know, you could create, you know, leads from that as well. So if you want to know more, you know, just give me your email here, or you can make it as part of getting the assessment. You still need to go through that barrier. So it's kind of a value exchange. My 2 cents.
So it could be something like, you know, the youth athlete, and then call it something else. The fitness healthy person, you know, take your assessment here, take your assessment here. And there's similar questions. I just word them differently.
Yeah,
Well,
or you could actually just have the one, and it takes them down a specific path given, you know, who they are, the information that they're giving you. There's ways you could do it. If you're interested, reach out to me. I do that kind of stuff.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Just chat me or email it. Or, you know.
I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but are the people reading the newsletter the parents?
Yes.
Okay.
98%. There's like
so then you're
6 athletes reading. They don't read emails. They're teenagers. So
no, they don't read it. Mom comes home and says, hey, look what I found for you. You're doing this on Tuesday. Yeah. So your avatar isn't actually the teenager.
Oh, I know that. That's why it's all directed to the parent.
Yeah. So then I would almost just do that assessment of, does your kid fail to eat before a meet and then perform poorly? Does your kid prefer talkies over anything else? Does your kid like
stay on social media until midnight and then they can't get up for practice?
For real, not even believe in sleep. I may or may not be living with that teenage athlete.
It kind of sounds like you're familiar.
Yes, it is. I am in a frat house by accident. But that message, then the question comes, do they need a consult call with you, or could they just book the kid in for a short get to know me, get your team to know me? Because you need the team to buy in to the fact that they even need anything. But maybe it's not a consult call with mom and dad. Maybe it's just, hey, here's a free session or a low cost session. Send your kid to this and they can hop on and ask any questions they have, where it's not mom sitting there saying like, I told you, hydration, sleep, those things are important, right? And they're like, blah, 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 mom. I mean, that kind of thing. Instead of book a call for mom and dad, what if it was have your kid join an info session? We do them every Tuesday night. They're 15 minutes and it's quick and dirty. And I go through why this makes a difference.
Okay.
You could try.
And my daughter and I were talking about having like a $20 booking fee.
I would only do a $20 booking fee if you are overbooked. Okay. I would only go from a free booking to a paid booking if you are overbooked and trying to slow that stream down. I would not implement that if you are looking to increase the number of bookings you have at this point. That might be a strategy down the road, but I wouldn't do it to begin with.
I find that if they haven't paid $5, they're like, I'll show where I won't show. And then once they're there, it's eye-opening, and you really just needed to get them to show up, and putting that money down is like an incentive emotionally and mentally to actually show up. So,
Yeah, it can work. The other thing you might want to try is a webinar.
oh, I've done hundreds of webinars in the last 6 years.
Do they convert?
Some of them convert.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
This
you're
is
welcome.
great. Everybody contributed. Thank you.
Right on. All right, so moving right along. When time has lapsed, this is from Katie. When time has lapsed and you're reaching out to re-engage, how do you recommend starting the conversation again?
Okay, so Katie, this depends on what your personality is. The way that I tend to do this is I am very upfront, and I am very like, hey, Katie, I'm so sorry. I meant to follow up with you after that January NIA meeting and got bogged down. And I am just circling back to the people that have commented that they wanted more information on my coaching services. Putting it out there, every single person that you talk to, for the most part, has been in that position too, right? Whether they're a business owner or not, they know what it looks like to get bogged down, get busy. So instead of trying to come up with an artificial reason why you're reaching back out to them, that's one way of doing it. The other way is, if there is something of, I would start with something of value. Hey, Katie, I wanted to share with you this article that either ideally you wrote, like this blog post that I wrote, or this information that I wrote, or this podcast I was on. It made me think of you. Or even if it's not your own generated content, something that is relevant to the path that you want them to take, start with that. So you are coming like cap in hand with an offer for them that is free, right? It is just, here's this podcast interview, I thought of you. And then you can follow up and say, hey, what did you think? I really thought this part here was important or was relevant to what we've talked about in the past.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, we have one more in the chat. How to try to add value with every outreach, avoid being a pest, but pushing for no is okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So even just, again, going back to that, say it, right? I will often talk to coaching clients, will be on a consult, and they will be humming and hawing, or they're going to think about it, or they're going to talk to their spouse, whatever that looks like, right? And I will say to them, I don't want to leave you in this gray zone of indecision. So it is no good if I leave you there and you're still not really sure, you're not 100% in, you're not 100% out. What would be the thing that makes you all the way in? What would be the thing that's holding you back from being all the way in? Or is this a no? Like, depending on the way that that person sounds to you, you can determine probably if they're giving you an excuse because it's a no, but they don't like saying no, right? And remember, so many people are like that. If you open the door to say, like, it sounds like you're a no, it sounds like this isn't what you're looking for, you can be that bold. Or you can say, it sounds like you're nervous this won't work. It sounds like you're worried you're going to invest in this and it's not going to create the result that you're looking for. Is that true? Does that feel right? What makes you nervous about this? Or give them the opportunity to just say, no, you're right, it's a no. And it's okay, right? Like, you can just say, no, would you like cheese with that? No, I don't. Would you like to buy my coaching? No, I don't. Okay, it means nothing about us personally. So if we just open the dialogue in that way, like you're asking them if they want a muffin with their coffee, then they can answer, yes, they want a muffin, or no, they don't. And it's totally fine, right? It's that being able to remove your meaning behind a yes or a no, right? It's that losing that, being objective to their responses. Does that help, Johnny? Cool.
All right, well, we still have some time left. If anyone would like to unmute, give your praises. Samantha, I think you're great today, as always.
Thank you.
Or you could drop it in the chat, unmute yourself, however you'd like to do it.
Hey, I just want to say thank you. That was very valuable information. I think everybody here kind of took some notes and some great things, but I think it would also be of value if that slideshow, that information could be shared. That would be
Yep.
awesome. Especially the schedule for the week to week. I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
Awesome.
Do you, other than your own podcast, are there podcasts you recommend for people to solve these same kind of problems?
Oh, so many. Hold on, let me pull up
Yeah.
my,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
there's
pull
a
up
lot
Apple
out there.
Podcasts and be like, let's see.
Which ones are your favorites for this sort of thing?
This sort of thing. Well, it depends on
Sales conversion, I would say.
conversion. Okay. I really like Profit and Prosper is a really good, I'll put it in here.
Okay.
So she speaks a lot on the financial side of things, and it is high value. It talks a lot about the numbers and the finances in business, but also lots of just how to grow your business, right? I have a couple of different ones. The Mindset Mentor is more about hitting your goals, the mental piece of being a business owner. So success in the things that feel hard, right? When we're struggling with even just when we were talking today about how do I say these things, or how do I be willing to be bold when I go forward and talk to clients, or how do I remove my own feelings about whether they say yes or no. That all that stuff is mindset, and all of that is how we are thinking about these conversations and our clients and our worth tied up in the worth of our business. So mindset can be very helpful that way, and he's really good. Who else is on here? I have a whole bunch that I listen to that are both talking about like social media and podcasts specifically. But a lot of the episodes, if you go through them and think about it from not so much like if you don't have a podcast, but from how do you promote your business? How do you create visibility and a marketing methodology in your business in a way that you are comfortable with? There's a lot of episodes in there as well. And that is Grow the Show and the Think podcast. And so Think podcast is very much talking about YouTube. So if you guys are getting into that YouTube world at all, and Grow the Show are kind of the ones that have been on my list of podcasting. I'm going to call it podcasting / marketing. Those would be 4 that I listen to pretty regularly, and I'll just cherry pick through what podcast topic seems super exciting to me at the time. Cool.
No?
All right. The other thing I was going to say is if anybody has any other, we've done this before, Danella, where if you have questions or things you'd like to know from a coach that aren't necessarily related to today's topic, I'm also happy to answer those questions if you want.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. You just have to be bold. Put your hand up.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
When you showed your chart that you're going to send us with sort of the activities by day, week, what I think you mentioned leveraging like Chat GPT or something to generate your messages. So, because what I'm thinking is if I had a preset sort of emails, right, that I could then
Yep.
tweak and personalize, right? I mean, nobody wants to super can things, and the worst is like dear name, right?
Yeah, when you figured out how to put that in there.
Yeah, then you can then it's sort of it's an easier way to do automation. We use Zoho CRM. I'm still learning it. I probably need to spend a little bit more time on understanding the CRM, but I also just kind of like want to create my own content, sort of drive my way of using the CRM too. So,
well, I will say, based on that chart or based on any sort of like, let's talk about just following up for this circumstance.
Right.
Going to set out like, I do this, I do this, I do this, I
Yeah.
do this. And maybe it's like a text message, an email, text message, email. Let's say that's all we're going to do.
Right.
And we're gonna follow them on social media and we're going to like some of their stuff. You can create, if you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to spend 2 hours and I'm going to write the emails that I need to do, right? So I'm going to do the day 1 email, day 4 email, day 8 email, day 10 email. And I'm just going to write those. And I'm going to write them from the place of, I just spoke to you. We spoke together and I am just sending that email to you. If you do that, right, then you just make it a template. And it's
Got it.
that same email, right?
Right.
We sit there and like bust off a great email to people every single day. But because we are not templating it, we are,
Right.
then Tuesday we get there and we have to send the same email or pretty close to the same email.
Right.
So you can use chat. I use ChatGPT in a lot of ways, but what I use it for is like, what are 12 different catchy email titles if I'm trying to catch the attention of service-based business owners to read my newsletter about making more sales from the leads they already have on their desk. Then I get ChatGPT to give me 10 options and I use it for that, as opposed to using it for the content stuff that you're trying to really make sure it sounds like you.
Right.
Right? That's a little bit easier of a way to do it. And those titles are actually going to be more SEO and more like they're doing all the back end research on that of it. But the content, you want it to sound like you. So I would say just block the time, create a template, or even go back through the emails and go like, every time I email Cynthia, it's great. We've got great rapport. She engages with me. Go look at what you're saying to Cynthia and just copy and paste it. You're probably doing a great job already somewhere with somebody you're following up with.
Oh, I think you're right, but I don't think I'm very systematized with it. And I realize I'm pretty new to sales. I've been in technology for a long time. And that's where I'm part of this program because I don't like to do things that I suck at. And I'm determined to master this.
Yep.
So, but I also know as an IT person, I'm process driven. I need to create my process. I need to systematize things and then execute.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm working on doing. So
yeah.
Thank you.
So just create those quick and dirty versions of them for right now are going to be better than a canned ChatGPT.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, if you are going to be generating content on ChatGPT, it is best to give it as much information as possible to make it actually relevant rather than just like spit out this article for me,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh, Kath says shorten email text. Yes. Yes. Bank AI to measure the email text is balanced for 4 personality types. That's cool, Kath. I hadn't done that, Bank AI, but I like that. I do it. I definitely do it for like tightening up texts for sure. Or starting me off with like, I kind of want to write about this, but how would I do it? And then I just pull from it that way if I have time to edit. But
Maria's asking if there's a CRM you'd recommend.
Oof, I will not recommend one specifically. I've tried a whole bunch of different ones. It really depends on what you're wanting to have it do and the time it takes to learn it. So we were just talking about like, I need to learn more about that CRM that I have. That's the case for everybody. They are pretty robust tools. So you really want to figure out, like I use Go High Level. So Go High Level, it has a ton of capability for automation. I can schedule social media posts. I can connect all the bells and with like I do 7% of what it has the capacity to do. And each one of them are like that. So you want to just figure out like, what am I looking for? And if you know that, Maria, I can maybe direct you. So you can always send me an email and say like, these are the 3 things I want it to do. And I've used a lot of different ones and my clients use a lot of different ones. So I can give you some recommendations. Okay. So how's everybody feeling about that math homework I gave you for how much money we're leaving on the table? Let's talk about the numbers a little bit. that feel like a relevant piece of information?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that was eye-opening to me. Yeah, right. Tara,
Yeah,
yeah.
somebody's crying in the chat.
Oh, no, no weeping. Right? But it's true because so many of us, oh, Tara, that's funny, that's you. That there's so many of us that we get so caught up in the day-to-day of like, oh crap, we need to be doing this thing for this current client we already have. When you think about, you really should be spending about 25% of your time, 25 to maybe 30% of your time servicing clients. Right? The vast majority of your time should be sales and marketing, constantly having that sales and marketing happening, right? That pipeline, working it through. And then the rest of your time on administration and stuff that we have no choice but to do, right? But most people, when they come to me as a coach, that's the number one culprit, is like they're spending 85% of their time doing client-facing work for current clients. And then the rest of their time, they're just scrambling to do the administrative stuff. And sales is like a sad little step cousin that doesn't even get thought about, or gets thought about only when we hit that valley, right? So we have a good month, we're not doing anything for sales, feeling great. And then we hit that bottom and we're like, oh no, I got to sell some stuff. And away we go again. And it's like, it contributes to that up and down. You're welcome, Cynthia, no problem. Anybody else have any questions, or else you get 20 minutes of your time back to go sell something? I'm gonna let you do that today.
Well, we actually only have 5 minutes left.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're gonna go to 4:15,
it's not 4:15 right now. What time is it? What's going on here?
4:11,
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we got 4 minutes left.
4:15. I thought we had till 4:30. All right. Anybody have any other questions or any other stuff you want me to address before we wrap it up with your 4 minutes? Which is enough time to look at that list, make that list of people on your paper.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Samantha, for joining us yet again. And
You're welcome.
I'm not even joking. I think if you do 5 sales masteries, I think we do got to get you an honorary robe, just like on SNL, you know?
I know. I need to have something like a gavel, or I don't know.
Yeah, there has to be something
fun.
NIA comes up with. So yes, thank you for doing this with us one more time. And I do want to encourage everybody to join us on the 1st, 3rd, and 4th Wednesday of every month. We are going to be doing our Network with the Nations, our Sales Mastery, and our speaker series. Next week, we have Mr. Chad Miller, subject, Winning with People, Keys to Growth and Outstanding Performance. And a few of those takeaways are going to be how various people science tools and disciplines can empower you and your team members for increased success, how to create a fun and willing culture that positions your company for extensive growth and excellence, and recognition of the cost of neglecting these topics. So definitely check back for that. On our Network with the Nations on the 1st Wednesday, Helen and Oscar are going to be hosting that. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. And I do encourage you all to take part in that. All right. So once again, Samantha, thank you so much for this. You're a rock star every time, home run right out of the ballpark. And thank you for being Johnny on the spot this week, because I know it was. Thank you so much.
Anytime, you guys. Have a great week.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.